Warning: the following episode of That Mental Ginger Show contains strong language and adult themes.
Alright, troops.
Hello and welcome to That Mental Ginger Show with your host Andrew Durning, aka The Mental Ginger. First of all, my three faithful followers, I have upgraded the system. I've got better audio, I've actually got headphones, and I actually was able to figure out how to adjust the settings so I don't look like a total dick. So it's a plus for this episode. And what better way to up the game by bringing on a very revered guest, one of the musicians from the band, the Terraplane Blues band, Nick Scrase. Nick, how you doing, buddy?
I'm very well, Andrew. How are you?
Yeah, doing all right.
It's Scrase.
Scrase. Yeah,
Scrase.
There we go.
One, my friend.
Well, it's always good to get that difference. I should really ask that first because a lot of people mix up my last name. Because they go, is it Durning? Is it During? I once had Durning, so they thought it was like Parch Spring.
That's okay.
So it was
That's
so.
Okay.
So the apologies.
No problem.
So one of the first things I like to do, Nick, is to ask my guests about their origin story, because if there's one thing that we all have in common, we all have an origins. So Nick, in your own time, tell my three faithful followers your origin story.
Well, for me, Andrew, it's all about blues. Basically, it's the way that blues music relates to real life. So about 10 years ago, I put the guitar down. I'd been playing in bands on and off for about 15 years. Spent a lot of that time sort of trying to play what other people wanted to hear, and I got a bit fed up with that. So I put the guitar down and I didn't do much for a while, and then I just really started to want to play music that I enjoyed, that I wanted to listen to, I wanted to hear, and I really just went back to the blues music and started reading lots of books and documentaries, and really just fell in love with the blues and what it meant and what it meant to me at the time. So I started to look into musicians that I'd never heard of before, people like Elmore James and Robert Johnson and Son House, and then started to learn more about the bluesmen that I knew, like John Lee Hooker and Howlin' Wolf, and of course Muddy Waters. So then that really made me want to go down the journey of learning about the blues and playing it. So I remember spending a lot of time at home just playing and playing and playing until I finally felt I wanted to go out and play live. So I started doing some open mic nights in Bristol and really started to sort of hone my craft of guitar playing and singing the blues. And eventually that led on to meeting up with Eduardo Allen, the harmonica player, and we started the Terraplanes together, and that was 8 years ago. And really we're still on the journey, you know. It's only just started for us, but that's the origin of my story when it comes to music and the blues.
Yeah. So what do you think made the blues connect with you so much?
Well, I think, like you said, you know, when you listen to blues music, the emotion and the lyrics, the fact that it's people talking about their real life, and you can relate it to your own life. Every time you listen to a blues song, you hear it differently the second time than you did the first, because there's so much meaning to the lyrics and the feeling that comes through that music, through the guitar playing. Being a guitar player, I was really fascinated by the slide guitar and the way that they sang their songs to accompany that. So it was one man on a guitar nearly 100 years ago playing music that is still better than anything I've heard come out in the last 20 years. You know, it's timeless music, and the way that the lyrics relate to real life really just stuck with me, and it still does today.
I think you're on a winner there with it. Practically everything since 2004 has not really been of the best quality music wise, but then again we can't exactly count your band into that, because you were obviously in this time frame. You were what, 2014? My maths is
That's right. Yeah,
2014. Yeah, I got maths off the top of my head. I'm not totally daft. So we can't count your band into it because I've heard some of
No,
I've heard some of the Terraplane's work so far, and it's really, really good. I like to think that I'm quite eclectic when it comes to music, but blues I've only had very limited experience with some of the artists that you've mentioned. Now that you've mentioned them, I can hear where the influences have came from. But how did you and the rest of the bandmates meet up? I know you said you kind of met through kind of open mics, but how did you kind of progress to what you have become so far?
well, when I met Eduardo, I was playing open mic nights, and various harmonica players would come and play, and we'd play a few songs, and it was great. And one day, me and Eduardo met in a bar, and he said, "I can play. You know, I've got a harmonica in my pocket." And so he came up and played, and we immediately hit it off. And we did some really good things as a duo during that time in 2014. We played the Oxjam Festival. We played at Mole's Club in Bath, which is a really nice venue down in the southwest of England.
Mm.
But the songs that I was writing, basically, they were more geared for a four-piece band. So it just seemed natural then to progress to the four-piece, and that's what we did. I mean, it's been 8 years now, and we've had various different bass players and drummers. But the drummer that's with us, Tom Turner, has been with us since 2015, so a huge part of the band and a great drummer.
Mm.
And Andy Wood on the bass guitar. This is his second stint with the Terraplanes as the bass player, but he's fantastic player that just fits so well with the rhythm section. So even now, the songs that I write, they're more geared for a four-piece band. So that was how we came about, and it's all with a shared love of authentic blues. I mean, we take influences from people like Elmore James and John Lee Hooker, and we like to mix up the old style country blues with, you know, bands like the Stones, the Kinks, and that the sound that you can spot straight away, that British R&B 60s groove. We put those two together, and that's what makes the sound of the Terraplanes.
It's something I've always found really fascinating. Like when you're in the studio and you're saying like you're going to be maybe like a blues band, and then you start to kind of just naturally experiment with different type of styles to fit in with the roots. Like you said, you mix in a wee bit of R&B, you mix in a little bit of the 60s rock, and it's always quite interesting to hear that. Do you think kind of as an artist that's what we're all about, like natural progression of music and experimentation?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you know, you can experiment too much, really, and you can overproduce records, and you know, where does it stop when you start going down that road? We like the sound of the blues to be raw. We like the sound of our music to be almost as if you're listening to it live, you know. So when you're in the studio, you're trying to catch that live energy, and that's what you want to put on the record. I don't want to listen to overproduced rock or blues rock. I like authentic blues, and that's why the band, we're always on the same page. We've always come from that angle. Yes, we like bands like the Stones, the early Stones, because that's authentic blues music right there, you know. So that's what we listen to, and we don't want something that's overproduced. We're in the middle of producing our own album at the moment, and the music that we've recorded is so raw, so nice, that we don't want to overproduce that and lose any of that quality. So
let's talk a bit about the recording process, since you're obviously mentioned you're recording your album. One of the things that I found when I was doing some of the recordings, that you could either record just in a one take as a band, all playing at once, or you could do one instrument, and then kind of mix and master it together. What style does the Terraplanes fall into? Do you all prefer to like do it all together on a oneer, or do you have a couple of things where you mix it up, or what's your process?
Well, a little bit of absolutely everything that you just said. Basically, the album that we recorded, some of it is recorded live with the whole band, and then we will overdub some shakers and second guitar and redo the vocals. But there are some tracks which we have multi-tracked individually, so we lay down the rhythm guitar and the drums, and then we'll layer everything else on the top of that. I mean, the EP that we did bring out in May of 2020, we recorded that all live. The band was live the whole time, and we then recorded the vocals over the top. But for this record, some songs felt natural to do it like that, and we did. But some songs really, because of time issues as well, and just how it was better suited to that song, we recorded them individual tracks, and that's what we're mixing and putting together at the moment.
How did you find recording like during lockdown? Because we went to lockdown March 2020. You said you were recording the album in May. What did you just have to be a bit more kind of aware of, you know, how to space it out with social distancing, hand sanitizers and stuff like that? Because I had to record my cover in July of that year, and we had to be OCD with it, even though it was starting to ease off by that point.
Well, we were lucky actually, Andrew, because we released it in May, but we recorded the EP over one weekend on the 1st of February. Oof. So we had it recorded, we had it produced, we had it ready, and then lockdown hit, and our choice was to not release and just kind of wait, or to carry on and put it out. So that was a tough decision, but we decided to put the record out. You know, we put out the first single, which was Midnight Train, which was also the name of the EP. And I mean, as a musician, I'd never had any music played on the radio, never had any of this stuff, but the lockdown actually gave me time, as the sort of manager of the band as well as the front man, to contact everybody and make friends with all these different radio stations. And I didn't even know there were so many out there, and we together managed to get the record out, promote it, and it got played endlessly. It's still getting played on the radios nearly 2 years, you know. It's about 18 months since we released. So we didn't actually record it during lockdown. We were basically all stuck at home for 8 months, the same as everybody else, but we kept in touch via Zoom, kept releasing singles. When we had breaks in lockdown, we made the video for our song The Rambler, and then later on in the year, in October, during another break in lockdown, we made a video for our song Malted Milk. Other than that, we were all at home like everybody else.
I have to say, I think my favourite track of yours is definitely The Rambler. It's got that raw kind of vibe that you were talking about earlier. I think that's if there's something to epitomise the sound that you're looking for with Terraplanes, it's definitely that. What would you say is probably your best track, like the one you maybe had the most fun recording?
I think the Midnight Train was the one that we had the studio for 2 days, and we were a little bit inexperienced, so we were kind of told, you know, try and get one song that you want to get right and focus on that song, and that was always Midnight Train. And when we recorded it, we were on such a high that day in the studio that we ended up laying down 2 more songs, and then the next day we came back and did 2 more, so 5 in total. But it was all hinging on how we wanted Midnight Train to sound. So that really is the song that I'm most proud of. It might be my best song, I don't know. We've got some absolutely great songs on this new album. So, but I enjoyed recording Midnight Train, and the satisfaction that we got from that single track gave us the impetus on that weekend to finish what we started and come away with an EP in a weekend, which is still 18 months later is still getting lots of attention.
It's something that's quite, I think only artists can really understand it. See, when you're in that studio environment, once you get that one track down, it's like the floodgates of inspiration just seem to open, don't they? Well, and it's like you said, you wrote another 2 in that day alone. You were like, right, let's get this down, let's get it sorted. You just get into that flow.
Yeah, I mean, there might be songs that you enjoy recording more, but that one, for us, everything was on that track. And I remember sitting in the studio in the booth, next to the window, and listening back to it. I still remember that now, the feeling that we had, and how good the track sounded. So definitely that one for me. Yeah,
there's nothing like it, is there, when you first hear your own track back and you go, we done that, we recorded that. It's a feeling that a lot of people don't understand unless they're in the industry. well, or have had experience with it. So you mentioned that you were.
That feeling for us.
So you mentioned that you were doing a lot of the promoting, the marketing, the contacting of the radio stations. When I was having to do that for Flower of Scotland, I found it was a major ball buster. Because some of them just wouldn't give you the time of day. Others would say, "Oh, send it, we'll get back to you." But you just be left hanging on. You're still hanging on. But then you get the ones that were really, really interested and wanted to play your stuff. Through the kind of, did you have like a kind of slew of, "Oh, we'll get back to you," or just no contacts? And if so, how did you manage to cope when it came to like the mental health aspect of it, of going, right, I've got knocked down, but we've got something, let's keep going?
Well, it definitely is that. You have to keep going. You know, one thing I did learn was, you know, you have to believe in what you're doing. You have to feel positive about that what you're doing is good and it's valid. So when I approached releasing this record, I've got all that experience from the last year and a half to put into this new release. But back then, I didn't know any radio station DJs. I didn't know anybody who would review the EP, which seemed to be really important. You've got to get somebody to review it, and I was really kind of stressed because I didn't know anybody. But I was kind of being told, well, you can look worldwide for people to review your music. But that's really difficult. But we were lucky with the genre of blues in the UK, because I started to find out that there was an organisation of DJs in the UK called the Independent Blues Broadcasters Association. And you could send an email, and that gets sent to all the DJs that produce probably about 90 shows throughout the UK every day, just devoted to blues music. So I managed to find who they were. I sent the email. I made up a press kit, like a mini website, sent it out with a press release, which I wrote. And all of this stuff you have to learn to do yourself as a musician. If you haven't got somebody to do it and you want to succeed in your band, somebody has to take the reins and learn how to do half the stuff that you don't want to pay somebody else to do. So yeah, you have to overcome lots of hurdles really, and think to yourself, you know, if I want this done, I have to do it myself. And you have to just remain positive. Bearing in mind, I was at home homeschooling 2 children. My wife's a nurse, and we were on lockdown. So
let's touch on that for a little bit. I'm a father as well, as we spoke about before we went on air. My wife works for the NHS as well. She's domestic. You'd never say cleaner, because she'd bat me one. I'd be coming on with a black eye if I said that. But so how did you find like kind of balancing that, especially the homeschooling aspect? Because I was quite lucky that the boys were at nursery, so we didn't need to worry about that part. What was that like, homeschooling?
Well, it was enjoyable for about a week. I mean, my wife was an intensive care nurse, so she was in 2-3 days a week, and we homeschooled, and that was just, you know, it seems a long time ago now, Andrew. You know, actually trying to think, but we did homeschool the kids, and we were lucky. We had a hot summer down here. We played in the garden, but the nurses just kept working through it all. So I lived with it. Coming home and seeing the effect of it and how it played on our mental health and the well-being of everybody in our family. You know, because it became very insular about looking after yourself, looking after each other. And I think maybe the music gave me something to focus on, because I was at home a lot. You know, even though we were home and we were all stuck home, there was still time to fill. And everybody finds something to fill their time. And for me, I just threw myself into the promotion and management of getting the music of the band out there. We chose to release it, so let's go 100% with promoting it.
Do you think promoting might be something that you might consider as a wee side hustle, like down the line, since you've figured out the kind of ropes, and maybe educating lesser experienced bands about, right, these are the experiences that I went through, let's not have you guys make the same mistake? That's something that could maybe interest you down the line?
I'm not sure. I mean, someone recently said to me that you'd actually make a good band manager, but if you know, in the future, because you seem to know your way around. I don't really have a passion for that at the moment. I'm focused on being a manager of a band is like all this work, and you don't get to do any gigs to have a release. So I still enjoy being a musician. I still enjoy writing songs and singing the blues, and I'm really loving playing with the guys in the band.
Yeah. So let's talk about the band. Let's give you the royal bum up that you definitely deserve. So talk about what gigs are coming up for you. What's in store for 2022 for the Terraplane Blues Band?
Well, lots of possibilities at the moment. Not too many concrete bookings to talk of at the moment, but we played at the Radford Mill Festival of Rhythm and Blues back in August. We certainly hope we'll be returning there next year. Again, Gaz Mayall's Rockin' Blues Club in Soho is a place that we played in July, and we're hoping to go back there around about the Easter holidays. The album is going to be coming out in, well, I can give you a bit of an exclusive, Andrew.
Whoa,
I mean,
this is actually a first exclusive. I am pumped for this. Fire away, buddy.
well, we haven't released this to anybody at the moment. We're still mixing and mastering the album. I think we're scheduled for sort of maybe, hopefully February 2022. We do hope to bring a single out, but I want to reveal that the album name is going to be called Stepping Stones. It's the first time I've told that to anybody.
So what?
It's one of the tracks from the album, and feels like a great name.
Why specifically Stepping Stones? Is there a meaning behind it? Is there a meaning behind the song itself? I'm just trying to dig for any more dirt, man.
Well, we threw a lot of names around this, and we've been planning this album for a long time, and the album name has changed lots of times. But the one I wanted at the beginning was Stepping Stones, and we've gone back to it, and it's the perfect name. The reason is that when you're being an independent band and you're trying to do your own thing in music, there are many opportunities for other people to use you as a stepping stone, and we certainly don't want to go down that road. Even though it's been 8 years in the making of this album, this is just the beginning for the Terraplanes. It's not the end of anything. So we feel that this first album is a stepping stone on so many bigger things, and it's an absolutely blinding song, and it seems to fit well. So nobody's heard us mention that name before, so that's an exclusive for your show, that the Terraplanes Blues Band's album will be called Stepping Stones.
Well, see, as long as your other bandmates don't kill me for you dropping that exclusive, I'm a-okay with that. I don't want to have to put a censor in afterwards. It's too much hard work trying to do that.
It's all good.
So, any plans to come to Scotland?
Actually, I think there possibly might be. We did, one of the really great things we did during lockdown was we did a 2-hour show on Stirling City Radio.
Nice.
A DJ called Jeff Campbell. I don't know if you know Jeff. He presents the Totally Blues show.
Yeah, he knocked me back. Stirling Radio knocked me back from my single, Wankers. But that's it. That was my experience. I'm sure they were very lovely with you, and especially with the blues sound. So are they inviting you back up to grace the boards of Stirling?
I think we might be going up to stay with Jeff while we possibly base ourselves there to do a gig, maybe one in Glasgow, one in Edinburgh, if we can fit it in. I also, during the lockdown, made a good friend from, I think he lives in Alloa. His name's Ian Donald, great slide guitar player, and one half of Sister Gavin in the Gator, who are sort of a blues male-female duo.
Nice.
And he's a good friend, even though we've never met. So I would love to come to Scotland, either on my own to do a show with Ian, or to bring the whole band up. So,
well, if you come to Glasgow, come to Glasgow, I recommend King Tut's Wah Wah Hut, especially if it's a blues kind of vibe. They do a lot of the up and coming guys. I mean, guys like Kings of Leon and stuff got some of the big breaks there. Well, it's an incredible venue. I know many bands that have performed there. I've seen 3. That's just because you got a wife and kids, and the life. You know that yourself. So let's talk. So here's a question for the touring aspect. Have you cleared that with a wife yet?
Yeah, I believe so. I think we're all good.
You have that same reservation that I do when I say to Alison I'm going to get guests into the studio to do a recording around the dining room. It's just that kind of she's cool, she's fine with it. Yeah,
she is fine because the tour that we want to do, we're all working, so the music, we love the music, but we all have got jobs and families. So what I'm trying to do is maybe during the Easter holidays of next year is to plan a tour of about 8 or 10 dates over a 2-week period, so we can base ourselves at home and we can try and there's going to be a lot of traveling, not much overnight stays. Obviously, if we come to Scotland, we would come and stay for 2 nights and try and do 2 gigs, 2 days.
Well, if you want to crash at my couch, one of the nights, you're more than welcome. Just yourself.
All 4 of us.
I was going to say just yourself. I don't think I can fit a full band on the couch. It is very comfortable, but yeah, there might be some slippage.
We'll make some plans, but
yeah. Well, there's a hotel right across the road from us as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I can put a good word in for you there. Well, I've bought many a takeaway for there several times.
Where are you? Are you based in Glasgow?
Yeah, Coatbridge, so it's about 20 minutes away from Glasgow. Well, and if you really need it, I can always give you my parking pass and you can just park up in there.
Okay.
Yep. So we're starting to come up on time, so I'll round off with a question that I ask all of my many entertaining guests. And once again, Nick, you have been absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much for coming on.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yep. So if you could give one piece of advice to anybody that is struggling with mental health issues, what would that piece of advice be and why?
That's a tough question. It's a tough question.
That's why I ask it.
Specifically regarding to music or just in general?
Well, that's an interesting question in itself. You're the first guest that has actually wanted to get a categorization of it. I think it's more.
I'm not a mental health expert, so I'm not really the best to be giving solid advice.
They're actually the best people to give advice, because I have no fucking clue about mental health. Yet I do a podcast about it, but it's because I've been through it myself. And I've been through the crap that's came along with it. So all the doctors that say to you, you could do this or that, 9 times out of 10, they haven't even had any experience with it themselves. They don't know. But someone, Joe Blogs on the street, who's been through the hardships, they're the best person to talk to.
Well, I would say basically, stay close with the people that you love, the people that love you, because they're the ones that give you the most support and the most honest and unwavering support. Try not to listen to the voices in your head too much. Listen to the people that love you, and take each day, try and smile and enjoy the small things in life, because really those are the big things.
Now, you said that was a tough question. That just naturally rolled off your tongue. Did you just want me to talk?
I didn't write anything down.
Did you just want me to talk shite for a couple of minutes so you could get a chance to think and go, now I've got an answer and it's frickin' profound?
That's just the way I see it.
Yeah, well, definitely. Sometimes mental health is a bit like Ron Seal. Just do exactly what it says in the tin.
Yeah, you have to. You have to just keep going. You have to keep going.
Yeah. Well, now we come to Bristol's favourite segment. It is Ask Andrew Anything. Now, for the regular listeners, this is when, after grilling my guest for 28 minutes and 40 seconds, they get to turn the tables on me and they can ask me a question. It can be something as mundane as what's your favourite colour, who would win in a fight between a genetically flawed lumpfish and a cat. So, Nick, do you have a question for this mental ginger? Or do you want me to waffle for a couple of minutes to talk shite so you've actually got a question?
Well, I'm just going to keep it simple. What, are you a musician?
Dabbled. I always rather wanted to be an actor, but music always seemed to be the bit that got me the attention. That I was craving.
You wanted to be an actor. My daughter wants to be an actress. She's only 7. So who's your favourite actor?
Favourite actor? Very, very good question.
And why?
Right. So my favourite actor is Ryan Reynolds. Well, first of all, he's Deadpool. Deadpool's my favourite anti-hero. Love that. But I followed his career since I was about teenage mark, 15, 16, and he was in a sitcom called Two Guys and a Girl.
Pizza Place.
Yes, the Pizza Place was first, and then they dropped the Pizza Place when they started getting older. And he was always the kind of standout actor in it. I mean, it had Nathan Fillion in it as well, so that says it all for the credibility. But he was able to go from being like really funny in some scenes and then flip it on a dime to being quite serious. And I remember going to see, it was the remake of the Amityville Horror. Now that film itself was an absolute dumpster fire. But one of the things I loved about it was seeing Reynolds' range, because you'd only seen him in, you know, Van Wilder and all those type of like, you know, frat house comedies as they call them in America, and they were all like, oh, he's just so funny, he's so outrageous, and then getting to see him going to play a serial killer, I was like, it was quite interesting. Didn't think he had this range. And the film that really solidified it for me was a film called Buried, and it's essentially the guy is buried alive. And he's stuck in there for 90 minutes and you don't know whether he's going to live or die. And the way that they filmed it as well, he was actually in a box shaped like a coffin, and he only had one entrance and exit to his left hand side. So every movement that he made and every turn that he had to do was authentic to how it would be if you were trapped in a box underground. And it was just such a roller coaster of emotions. It was one of those ones that I could watch it once, but it would always stick with me, and it always has stuck with me. And that's just down to like the incredible acting that Reynolds had. Yeah. So yeah, he's the
actor. I like his films. He's good in Deadpool.
Yep,
I do like him.
He's absolutely brilliant. Wee bit of knowledge for you. You know, everybody goes nuts about the whole Deadpool where he had his mouth sewn shut in Origins Wolverine. Ryan Reynolds did not actually play that part of it. Because he's a massive fan of Deadpool, when he found out that's what they were doing to the character, he refused point blank to do it, and just said, "Get a stunt double or something. I'm not doing that." The stuff before it with Wade, obviously, it was him. And you could tell that. You could tell how he played it. But when they found out that was the direction they were going, he told him to shove it, and off he went. So that's it. Another reason why I like him, he had a bit of integrity. I also love the fact in the first Deadpool, once it was wrapped and they had no clue if it was going to be successful or not, he walked out with the suit, and the costume department was like, "You can't take that suit, you can't do that." And he went, "You know how good an actor I am. I did all the sword fighting stunts myself. Do you really want to try and take this off me?" And off he went. So you just never threaten the guy that knows how to use a katana, man. Right. And since you mentioned that your daughter wants to be an actress, I first found out that I wanted to do acting when I was 6, and your daughter was 7, so it's about that age mark. So I'll give one piece of advice for your daughter, if I may, for the acting side. Don't let anybody put you off. Nobody. Not friends, not family, nothing. If you think this is what you want to do, this is what you think you're good at, and it's something that you love, just tunnel vision on it, laser focus, that's what you want to do, and go for it. And always remember, it's like everything else. You're not just born gifted. That's a load of bollocks. It's like every other skill. You've got to hone it, you've got to craft it. Even if she thinks, "Oh, I'm not good," she will get good. With enough practice, with enough time, she will do brilliantly if she's got the right mindset. Because I looked at like some of the acting stuff I'd done when I was younger, and I thought, I am shit. I am totally horrible. And then as I got older, I realised it's just like everything else. You've just got to train. You've just got to put the work in. And then I'm eventually going to everybody else, "Get up, you. This ginger got a part." And not only that, you got the lead. Round you. So if there's any advice that I can give to her, just go for it.
I'll pass it on, mate. I'll pass it on.
Yeah. Obviously without the swearing. Yeah.
Yeah. Right, the swearing and the bird. I'll try and edit it out for her.
Yeah. At least make it so, you know, like the flying V. That's the acceptable one for when they get to about 10. Nick, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on, buddy.
Thanks for asking me, mate.
Yeah,
It's really good. Really enjoyed it.
I could probably talk to you all night, but, well, you're a family man like myself. We try and take advantage of any alone time that we get, and I'll probably end up crashing on the couch tonight. It's quite comfortable.
This is quiet time.
Yeah, definitely. That's the advantage.
Good to meet you, mate.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I look forward to the release of your EP. Keep me updated with any events. Take it we can find you at all the socials, like, the Facebook, the Twitter, all that stuff.
Well, no, we don't do Twitter.
Very impressed. Very impressed.
Yeah, I don't do that. We have a YouTube channel, and you can find it all on the website www.theterraplanesbluesband.com. Everything's on there. Brilliant.
Well, guys, you heard it from the horse's mouth. Not that he looks like a horse. If you're watching on YouTube, he's a very handsome man. So you've heard it from him. Get onto the Terraplanes website, check them out, pre-order their EP, look forward to their singles. I definitely recommend.
We're coming to a town near you next year when we tour.
Well, and if you're not, well, I'll make sure that you are. So until next time, my three faithful followers, I have been Andrew Durning. This has been Nick Scrase. Nick Scrase, yes! 35 minutes and I finally got it right.
Remember it now.
Nick Scrase from the Terraplanes Blues Band. So until next time, take care, stay safe.
Thank you.
Bye bye.